The following presentation is a production of Ride the Wave Media.
Hello and welcome to Practically Magick. This is Courtney Pearl, pagan folk witch, card reader, healer, spiritualist, Celtic priestess, teacher, artist, and mystic seeker. I've been discovering true and real magic and wish to share it with you. All right, we're going to start today's episode by pulling a card. And the card that we are going to get for this episode is coming from the Ethereal Visions deck, one of my favorite and first tarot decks that I ever got. And I'm using this because it has a beautiful gold foil, and I feel like it was especially perfect for today's episode. And I have pulled the Two of Pentacles. In this deck, it's a very playful card. It kind of represents duality, but it also is just, whenever it comes up for me, I think of a really playful energy, kind of throwing out the rules and being like, I kind of want to just go with the choice that I feel is best or that might be the most fun for me today. Yeah, kind of taking the seriousness out of it, which is perfect for our episode today. I'm recording this because today's episode, we are going to be joining Stacey Millhorn at Pure Sweat and Float in South Jordan. We are going to be joining her in the sauna in just a little bit. So to help us get ready for that, I'd like to start with a little story time. And the story time I've picked for today's episode is The Little Red Riding Hood. And I'm sure most of you listening are familiar with the story of Little Red Riding Hood. And Little Red Riding Hood has a red hood. Some versions of the story, she has a red cap on and she's getting ready to take muffins to her grandmother's house. She's going to be going through the dark woods. And the reason that I bring this story up is because it's filled with a lot of symbology in association with colors, even the color red being in the opening of the title of the story. Red symbolizing her maturity, symbolizing her familial connections, in that the roots of her leaving her mother's house to go visit her grandmother. She's going to be going through the dark woods. In a lot of stories, there is a lot of darkness surrounding the woods, or the darkness is what's used to describe the wool. And what I want to point out is that a lot of the more Christian-based folktales of like Little Red Riding Hood comes from, they like to demonize the natural world, in that the darkness and the evilness and the danger really comes from the wilds of nature, wilds of the woods. But in a lot of hero journeys that came from previous to Christian influence, these stories have a lot to do with overcoming one's self, shadow selves, in going into and through a journey. And it wasn't about conquering demons, but more or less using them as the helpmates or guides, creatures of the other world that were going to bring forward what the hero needed to be tested with, to be able to ascend to a higher level of understanding of himself or herself. And I also want to point out that we mentioned in the episode about intuition, we were talking about the story of Vasilisa. And there's a particular part in the story of Vasilisa. She's going on her way in the woods to Baba Yaga's house. Baba Yaga is the witch character in the story. And she has to go to Baba Yaga's house in the woods. And on the way, she passes a series of riders, or there's some riders on horses that pass her on the path. And the first one is white, a white knight with a white horse. And then it's dawn. When the white rider passes her, it's dawn. When the day goes on a little bit more, there is a red rider on a red horse that passes her. And when it passes then it becomes evening. And finally, when she reaches Baba Yaga's house, there is a black rider on a black horse that passes her, and it is night. And I'm pointing that out because we are going to talk again the significance of colors. The colors in folklore and the colors that we associate with are very much connected to our subconscious. And we're going to talk a little bit about the colors in the sauna. Stacey's going to talk a little bit about it later today, but I want to kind of introduce the topic because I am going to go experience the infrared lights in the sauna, that they have a particular correlation with the colors. And I'm going to let Stacey explain that a little bit better when I ask her those questions. But just to introduce the subject today, I'm really excited to go and meet with her and talk a little bit about kind of the magic and healing of the services that they provide at Pure Sweat and Float. They have their saunas and they have a float tank. And I've already had many friends experience what it was like to be floating in a tank that is sort of like a sensory deprivation, or you could use it like sensory deprivation. But this particular tank is large and it's almost the size of a small room. And I've had some of the staff members there kind of talk to me about what it's like to float in that tank, and that some people have a very mystical, very emotional release experience just being in the float tank where they're floating. It feels as if their body is not touching anything for a period of time. You can turn off all of the lights. It's you can have some low lights. You can have some stars that reflect around the tank. And so it kind of does simulate the feeling of just being in outer space, being in total and utter silence and stillness. I know that just Blaine with Radio Daybreak, he's going to be there with me today, but he did an episode of recording his podcast right there in the float tank. And I really wanted to go and experience some of these things myself and to understand what it means to access the kind of magic that these experiences can provide us when we are working on our health, when we're looking at wellness, when we're looking at mind, body, and soul connection. And so I am going to head over there now, and we're going to get to record in the sauna and talk a little bit more about those colored lights and what they mean for us. I will see you in just a moment. I am here with Stacey Millhorn. Am I saying that right?
You are.
Okay, good. You are the owner of Pure Sweat and Float, South Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're here in the sauna together under some green light because we needed some peace. I was a little bit nervous. So we're like, let's bring in the peace. So we got a chance to chat a little bit about the colors when I came and met you here to see your facility and the float tank. I think the stories that I'm hearing, people using the float tank to get like inner peace that they've never felt anywhere else. It's amazing. I can't wait to try the float, honestly. But I love the sauna because I love to be warm. So that's awesome. But you have these colored lights. So I want first to ask you just what was your journey in coming to this endeavor?
Sure. So I was in Nashville. I'd been diagnosed with a lot of chronic pain, so neck pain. I since then have had a full shoulder replacement and was getting diagnosed, not just diagnosed with chronic pain, but prescribed pain meds. So anti-inflammatories, sleep medication, pain medication. And that's not really a road I wanted to be on for a long time. So found that the sunlight and sauna specifically use 3 different wavelengths of infrared, which is a safe wavelength. It's not UV. It's not, I've been asked if it's like microwave. No. And
okay, good. We're not cooking.
No, we're not cooking. They actually use infrared to heat NICU babies. So it is a very safe light. But sunlight is patented far, mid, and near. So far is penetrating your body the farthest. So organs and blood. Sunlighten patented adding the mid and the near. So the mid is really good for muscles and joints and inflammation, and near is icing. It's anti-aging and wound health, skin health. So yes,
Nice.
you get younger as you sit in the sauna. But for me, that midlight, I was able to get off of the medications they were prescribing.
Wow.
And then found there were added benefits, anxiety, seasonal affect, which ironically I had never experienced in Florida, but did experience in Tennessee, thinking it was equally sunny, and it was not. So that's how I found Pure Sweat, specifically using Sunlighten, and then was introduced to the float through them as well, and was really unsure about floating at first, and then had the best night of sleep, and my cortisol levels were reduced. And so coming to Utah, couldn't find anything like it. And Candace, the founder, decided to franchise outside of Tennessee. So we were the second ones open outside of Tennessee nationally.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's an awesome journey to come and make it here to us. Like Kismet, you were brought to our little valley, our side of the valley over here in South Jordan. And I'm just hearing the benefits that people are getting. Even a bunch of friends of mine that are like, oh my gosh, I just did the float. And people like experiencing such inner peace other than the, just the obvious physical benefits that people are having and the research behind that, but just that people are coming and like you talked about seasonal affective disorder. I remember in college, before I knew anything about any of this, I used to go to tanning beds.
Yes.
Not because I wanted to get tan. I know that was the age of, that was the 90s. It was when we were all trying to tan.
Yeah.
But I remember just being like, I need just a little bit of sun. I just need that little bit. I was in Utah State up in Logan. So it was like inversion, winters, just really harsh. So I remember just being like, I just want the benefit of that light and that sun. So this sounds like much healthier.
Definitely.
Not UV lights that are going to give me the skin cancer, but the real benefits. And so I'm here today because of the colors in your infrared sauna, and you have the remote that has all the different choices. So you can do all of these different colors while you're in here.
Yes.
And if you go back to episode 7 of my podcast, you'll listen to my whole spiel about colors and how absolutely important they are and why I do healing through art using colors. And at Synchronicities, they do have like a selenite cave that goes through all of the colors. So I really am fascinated by how colors connect with our healing emotionally, physically, the colors of the chakras and the energy centers of the body that are associated with those. And you have this awesome sheet that kind of helps people understand that while they're in here, so they can go, okay, what physically is happening that I might need? And then the work that I do is kind of connecting that emotionally, energetically within the body.
Yes.
So let's kind of go through some of these colors.
Sure.
So you have, so the red, and it shows you exactly on the sheet in here, like what button to push, like which buttons to push to get this combination so you can get red. So now we're basking in our red glow here.
Yes.
Which can kind of give this sense of, what do you feel when you get into the red?
So it's really, circulation, telling your body, it's really like a motivating color. So, and I think on your podcast that you just referred to, red was something that you said, we see blood, we see danger, stop signs. And so it's interesting with the work you're doing, and then the fact that it's lining up with the chakras, it's telling our body to be activated and to pump more blood. So I found that fascinating, the connection.
Yeah. And looking at your sheet here, talking about how regulating skeletal and circulatory systems, I think that's so fascinating because when I connect people with the color red, I know that a lot of these, in some of the other colors too, directly affect the circulatory system and the blood flow in the body. So it's like a complete correlation between that. And when I discuss red with someone doing an emotional process, they might say, oh yeah, that feels really red to me. And I'll say, well, what part of that is, first of all, maybe some insecurities, feeling like you're not grounded or safe, or what part of that might be connected to generational, ancestral trauma, because it's like literally in the blood, whether or not it's happened in your past or in your family's history.
Wow.
So I think that's really fascinating because it's like circulatory system, the blood running through your veins. And then the orange So we have the orange colors, sacral chakra. So this is in the body below the belly button. It's like the reproductive organs and that. So what do you feel?
So this orange usually ends up talking about like trapped body fat. And so that lower belly that you're referring to, it also can come up into the lower respiratory area for asthma. So we'll have clients that have, especially like you were mentioning inversion, they'll like to use the orange to try to help clear out something, in their body that's stuck in that region.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah.
And it's interesting you say that too, because I was just remembering how we talked about in emotional processing at the school that I learned to do that. They talked about how sometimes when the body is holding on to that fat and like won't let it go, that when they emotionally process that, it's like having something to do with like there's some insecurities or some shame.
Wow.
Like holding on to that. So for a lot of people, when they're doing everything physically that they can do to like slim that area or to be like, why am I just holding on to this like extra tire?
Yes.
Which I know a lot about.
I was going to say, what do I need to work on to get rid of that?
But yeah, I think all women everywhere, especially if you've had a child, is like, yeah. But even just being able to process out emotionally what is connecting, what energy is holding there that might be connected to shame. It doesn't always have to be sexual shame either. It can often be just any kind of shame from their childhood, and that the body literally holds on to that fat for like a security of some kind. So anyway, that's an interesting correlation there.
Indeed.
So then we have the solar plexus is right up here above the stomach, above the belly button in the center of the body. So now we're bathed in a yellow light. And we're already feeling more confident, more self-esteem. Yeah. What connections does the yellow have in here?
So the yellow, I don't know yellow as well. A cleansing effect to purify the body. So I think last winter when we had a lot of snow, we had people coming in and asking about seasonal affect. And this, I don't know for them if this maybe kind of replicated or simulated sunshine for them when it was a lot of gray. So yellow is not one that I use often, but where does it connect for you from like a chakra or energy perspective?
Yeah, I'm reading here, it says around the kidneys and liver, which is interesting because that's like the detoxing of the body, right?
Yes.
And this is like when the solar plexus is strong and balanced, people feel confident, people feel empowered. They feel that they can handle any obstacles that come their way, that even if they can't control their environment, which is usually true. Most of us are going through experiences where we realize, oh, I can't control other people or things that happen, but I can control me, and I feel empowered, and I feel good about going through these experiences and knowing what I should do.
Yes.
So feeling strong. And a lot of times when I am working on people in a Reiki session for this chakra, I will have, I hit the mic. I will have them do a visualization or a guided meditation where they visualize their alter ego as like a warrior self, or we all kind of have that fantasy or something deep down within us where we're like, if I really needed to be powerful, this is what I would be, or this is how I'd see myself.
Yes.
For some people, it's like Xena warrior princess kind of a vibe, or for some people, it can be just like royalty. It can be like sitting on a throne, being empowered, having that.
I wonder if that correlates to I know I've been like before job interviews, and they tell you like basically do your Wonder Woman or Superman pose in front of a mirror and like embody what you see in that pose.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. Again, another perfect example of how the like physical outer kinesthetic way we can empower and balance inner energies that are going on there.
Very cool.
So then we're going to the green.
Yes.
The heart chakra.
Yes. So detoxification and relaxing your muscles, your circadian rhythm. We had a lot of people, ironically, just like to play. They'll put it on for like, different holidays. So a lot of people wearing green on St. Patrick's Day. And I'm like, it's so much more than that, but that's fun too. So yeah, that can be very clarifying, obviously happening a lot in the chest region of the body. So where does green fit in your energy healing.
Yeah. So this is so cool. Relaxing the muscles, detoxing organs. This is the heart chakra. So this is often associated with love. And it can also be pink. So a lot of times when I have emotional processing with people and I'll go, what is that? What does that emotion feel like to you? If they're saying pink, I will kind of associate it with, again, love. Like the flow of love. How do I feel loved? How do I experience love? How is my relationship with love? Do I feel lovable? Do I feel that it's unconditional? Or do I feel that it's conditional based on what I do or how I show up, or people have to be deserving of it, things like that.
Yes.
So there can be a lot of blocks in that. And again, all kind of associated with the heart.
That's fascinating to me too, because I think we've been taught through, Hallmark holidays with Valentine's and things like that, that red is love and red and red. And so going back to our initial color of red, that doesn't really translate in what's actually happening in the body or the energy work. So
Yeah.
I will definitely be thinking of green differently now.
Yeah, it is. It's a very different kind of level of love, like letters to love, or, some people do those practices where they say, love, what would you have me know today? And then they just write out a letter as if it's from love. And that would be the kind of love we're talking about, not just romantic. But I often question that. This is just theory, gospel according to Courtney. But when red is associated with love and in the Valentines and things like that, I ask myself, how much are they looking for love and how much are they looking for security and safety?
Oh, wow.
That's what the red color often associates with, is like, am I looking for love, or if I'm looking for like someone to complete me?
Yes.
Right.
And you talked about your codependency
Mm-hmm.
briefly. And so I'm looking forward to listening to that episode as well.
Oh, I can't wait for that. I know a lot about codependency patterns. And that often lives in the sacral chakra too, the orange. So we'll go into that a lot more later. But
clearing to do.
Yeah. And so anytime that I'm giving questions to people, whether it's a Reiki session, if I say, what part of the body has been bothering you or what hurts, that gives me a really good correlation to what emotional energy is there. So this gives them an option in being able to support their healing. In like, if they have emotional healing that needs to be done, they might feel the physical implications too. So they can come here and really be like, okay, I'm really working on those codependency patterns. So I'm going to sit in orange for a while.
Definitely.
Right?
Yes.
And kind of look at what that inflammation, menstrual cramps, prostate issues, bladder, urinary dysfunction. It's kind of like you're reading my medical history right there. But yeah. So, okay. So we're going up the chakras. Oh, and I want to say one more thing about the green.
Sure.
So the heart chakra is the only chakra that doesn't have a balancing chakra with it. It's the center. So it is where we talk about coming from the earth chakras from below. So the root chakra is the base of the spine. And then and then they go up from there. Those are what we call the earth chakras. So they're like grounding, embodiment, all kind of associated in that. And then as you go up the chakras and you're getting to the heart chakra, moving up from there, you're coming into the heaven chakras. So this is where it gets from physical to more spiritual.
And those are balancing above and below the green, are balancing each other.
Yes. So the crown, which is the top of the head, balances the root.
Okay.
So they all have their balancing chakras.
Position. Cool.
Yeah. So we go into blue, and then like a light blue typically is associated with the throat chakra, and the neck, shoulders, ears. So this is the throat chakra.
And that's exactly, so counteracting worry, reducing overexcitement, hyperactivity, calming. So, and it's interesting because we at Pure Sweat Float Studios, we leave our lights on blue.
Oh,
so
nice.
It's when you come in the front door, our goal is to take care of you. People come in very flustered. They've either dropped off kids, going to get kids. They're in the middle of something. We just want people to pause at the door, take a second for themselves, and then we are here to take care of you. You need comfortable clothing. And whether you're floating or doing the sauna, our float light is also blue. So really it is a space for just the rest, recover, reset.
Yeah.
Take 45 minutes out of your day to just breathe. And so in this, we also do recommend breath work or meditation while in the sauna.
Yeah.
So we don't
leave your
have
devices
any-
out.
That's right. We don't have any TVs or anything like that can be distracting. Now you can bring your phone in, but it's interesting what we have found over the past few months is people will start with a phone and, oh, I need to do emails or I need to watch Netflix. And then it's, well, I listened to a podcast. Then it's, well, I listened to music, and then their phone is outside of the sauna. Yeah. So it is a learned behavior really to just give yourself time and space to heal. And this is such a great way to do it because you have the infrared, but then also the addition of the chromotherapy.
Right. Yeah. Just being able to practice that stillness, which is hard. I know. I have a phone in my hand most of the time too. But just being able to go, okay, if I have a reason to put it down and have no distractions and to just be able to listen to my own thoughts, my own body, and reconnect with that again, reconnect with the truer self.
Yes.
The capital S self, I call it. So your self that is witnessing everything that your body is going through. And yeah.
And that's for the float too. I know you said you've had a lot of people sharing some profound experiences. There's 1,500 pounds of medical grade Epsom salt in there. So you are fully supported, which people have trouble with. They hold tension and they don't want to release into it. And so we give you, there's a thick neck rest or a thin neck rest. I now go without because I trust that the water will hold me.
Yeah.
The salt will hold me. But a lot of people have a very hard time, oh, it wasn't for me, or I had to be with my own thoughts.
Yeah.
I had to think or process, and it can be challenging those first couple of times. We say it usually takes about 3 times to kind of get the art of your own float.
Of letting go.
Yes.
I know without having tried it yet that will be me.
Okay, fair enough.
I had an experience with breath work where they're like, if you fight it, it'll get worse. And I was shaking, shivering the whole time because I kept going, stop shivering, stop shivering, stop shivering. And once I stopped trying to stop shivering, I did.
Amazing.
And I'm like, if I can just learn to let go of control and be like, somebody else has got me, whether that's in the divine or in the float,
Yes.
the water, the salt, it's got me. I just have to let go and let it happen. Yeah. And so this area of the body, the throat chakra, often has to do with burden because it can connect to the shoulders. When you have a lot of pain and heaviness in your shoulders, sometimes releasing the burdens of like either I had a lot of burden or responsibility on me, or it could also be I was a burden to other people at some point in my life. I saw myself as a burden.
So you just saying that, I started this by saying neck and shoulder. And so that's like almost emotional. But the fact that here's what keeps these on blue. And that is how I started experiencing it, again, with the combination of the two. And then a lot of that went away for me. So I feel like I'm having a breakthrough.
That's amazing. That's absolutely.
Wow.
That's absolutely it. Yeah. And so when people are releasing those colors, if they are like, oh yeah, I feel it in the shoulders, or if I feel like it's the blue, I'll start asking those kinds of questions.
Incredible.
And then we have the third eye, indigo. And I remember on your original sheet, when I came in here the first time, it said ocular eye, having to do with the indigo color. And I was like, that's interesting because that's the third eye chakra. That has to do with intuition and connecting with that. So,
which that's what really, when, Blaine connected us and then you and I had the opportunity to just talk about the sauna and some of the color, you shared some of the things that you're doing with the artwork and the healing with the colors. And then we had a different chromotherapy piece of paper. So it prompted me to reach out to Sunlight and find out, is this just, ironic, fun colors? Or did someone actually, with this knowledge get involved? And sure enough, a provider out of Wake Forest that deals a lot with this is how they partnered. So it really sets the sauna apart from other sauna experiences using the Sunlighten. But then to know that people are telling us they feel different when they leave or the next day. And then to talk to someone like yourself that's trained in working through trauma or history or whatnot with color, I feel like my whole world just kind of came together.
Yeah. All the pieces fall into place. They're all connected. And like to doubt that your body, mind, soul, all these things would be connected, or to act like chakras are just some woo-woo word that some weird people like me use, or that it's been now kind of solidified by science, like them being able to say, well, there are colors associated with our body and our aura, and there are energy centers and wheels of energy in the body. Chakra means wheel in Sanskrit, in case you didn't know that.
I did not know that. Actually, I just knew chakra. I just knew there's wheel down the body and there's color.
Yeah. And we have hundreds of chakras in our body. These are just the main 7 that most people know, and that kind of generate the energy through the body. And then we have the very, very top, which is actually above your head, the crown chakra, which is the violet color. It can be associated with violet, purple, or white.
Yes.
And this is like the God color. This is what people associate with your connection to your divine higher power.
So I want to get to white in a second, because something that you said on your colors podcast, that episode triggered me to mention this to you. But I always find violet in the evening for me, and I didn't know why, is very like settling, soothing. It's one, when someone's new and they're like, which one do I use? We now have more information specifically about the chakras. But it talks about regulating serotonin. And so we're getting that obviously in our gut-brain connection. But I think maybe for me, and hopefully others, when you use violet, it does really just settle your nervous system. Yeah. And then it even speaks to seasonal affect disorder, specifically on the violet.
Yeah. Lavender being an herb that helps people to sleep. I mean, it all has that connection, which... whenever I'm doing a guided meditation, if we're doing release and we're releasing things in shapes and colors, most of the time in my work, I will always invite a white light, and that's up for interpretation, whoever the person is. This white light has all of the colors in it and comes and absorbs all the negative energy or all of the things you're releasing. It has the power to do that. You have to visualize that it has that power. Otherwise, it doesn't work. So, yeah. And I have some people in sessions that are like, well, can't I give it to my great aunt Margaret or something like that? And I'm like, she's passed away and I just want to, give it to her or whatever. And I'm like, poor Aunt Margaret doesn't want it. Yeah. Poor Aunt Margaret doesn't want your stuff. You've got to send it to something much more powerful, right? Indeed. Yeah. Tell me a little bit more about that white light.
Well, and the white light. So in the podcast that I listened to with the colors, you mentioned oil spill. Excuse me.
My favorite color.
That it's all the colors, right? So it's like even like rainbow-ish potentially. And so I have a teammate who discovered the white light, and white is actually not, it's on our sheet now with the violet, but white, when you look at it inside the sauna, you can see
all the colors.
And so, to your point, if you have someone who's trying to maybe release, or at the end of your session, like you feel like you've used orange or used whatever color that you needed today, I'm very curious to start trying white at the end for a few minutes, just to give my session maybe some closure and really release whatever it is that I was feeling, needed some TLC that day.
Yeah. And wouldn't it be amazing to do like an emotional process in a sauna or in the colors? I'm not sure we'd last. It's a 90-minute session, but
we can turn the heat down.
Like, wouldn't it be amazing if we could just kind of go through all of that in an environment that allows you to do that? And I know you have a staff member talking about her experience bringing her husband in, and they do like the sauna and then they do the float.
Yes.
And they always like kind of talk things out in the sauna. It's kind of their time together where kids aren't interrupting and all that. So you get to chat. And then they go into the float afterwards, and that's where it's silent. And that's where they just sit in silence. And I'm like, that sounds like a perfect way to do all of the connecting.
Yes.
that two people might need to do.
Absolutely.
They were like, we need to hash some stuff out. So I always recommend like, in any of my workshops or something, they're coming to do art, I'll say, bring family members that are open to doing it with you, because the healing is just magnified when you're doing it with people, or especially if there's generational work that needs to be done and you have a mother and a daughter, or, and you get to kind of heal generational patterns together. Yes. It's kind of an amazing experience. So your facilities offer that because you have like the double saunas, people can sit in the sauna together, and then you have the float that's big enough for two people.
Yep. Yeah. And the parasympathetic, so the fight or flight, getting out of that in the float. So because you're supported, all of that, it's medical grade Epsom salt, so it's magnesium sulfate the majority of adults are magnesium deficient. So your skin being your largest organ, you're drinking that in. So cortisol levels are dropping. So imagine being in the sauna, maybe you're hashing some things out, or you have a topic that you kind of need to get through, and then you get into the float. Now we're reducing our cortisol levels. So if maybe there was something that was a little like, you know, fiery for you in that conversation, that's coming down. Your sleep, your muscle recovery. So any tension that you're maybe holding is releasing. And then Superior Float Suite or float tanks, who we use, our military bases actually use their equipment for PTSD. So any type of trauma that maybe occurred. And that doesn't obviously have to be military. There's plenty of people that have PTSD for so many reasons. And then we have athletes that have sought us out concussion and traumatic brain injury. So there's a lot going on where all you have to do is lay there. And it is nice. You can go in with your partner. I've had, they put their hands on top of each other so they can feel each other, and then they'll look at the stars. Some of them will go sensory deprivation where you can turn everything off. So it's really how you show up that day, like what you need. We are here to support that.
That's amazing. Yeah. I once heard of like a relationship coach say, fight laying down.
Oh, that's fascinating.
Because I think it like signals to the body that you're not in danger, or like doesn't let your anxiety get up. And so they're like, lay down if you're fighting.
I'm not kidding. The next time my husband makes me angry, I'm like, lay down right now. And I'm
just gonna lay down.
Just laying down and put on blue or something that
put on a color. Yeah. And like sound frequencies, 528 hertz is the love frequency. I use that method a lot in my household when we're all a little bit tense and everybody's got their like fight on. We're like, put on the 528 hertz and we just see what happens. Yes. We don't even say a word. We just let everybody feel the feels.
I love it.
So I believe that because the frequencies of sound have been known to be so healing, that for me, it's the same with colors and with the wavelengths that you're experiencing with these colors.
One fact that I found fascinating, and I would never have known this, is you said whether or not you are someone that can see or cannot, that there is a wavelength to color that the body is responding to, which blew my mind, because we talk about infrared being invisible and safe, but I did not know that colors, that your body would respond to color whether or not you are actually seeing the color.
Yeah. I'll even do it with, I've had sessions with people that they can't visualize a color. Like for some people, they just can't see it in their mind when their eyes are closed and they're asked, what color do you feel that is or see? My mom is one who is like, I don't see it. I don't see what you're, there's nothing there. So I will just have a box of crayons ready and I will just have it out and I will just say, choose one.
Okay.
And I even have little kids who I'll just be like, choose a crayon. What color does your feeling feel like? And then they grab a crayon. And I trust that they are responding to what they need, that they're connecting with that wavelength somehow. And so they're just choosing it. And so, yeah, I believe it works whether you can see or not.
I think it's amazing. I honestly, like we talk about all the time that we like chromotherapy is like, oh, it's a bonus to being in our saunas. But my thoughts have totally changed on that. There really is obviously therapeutic and healing things that are happening. Like I said, I'll choose, violet in the evening or red. I really want to get things going. Or I found blue. And now that I know all the shoulder, association, that may just be something that my body is like, please blue, please blue. But yeah, I think that there's so much more healing going on in here than really I even realized.
Absolutely. And I would be excited to have you join me at one of my Healing Through Art workshops and partner with that, because that would be amazing to see you guys come and see what that looks like in a different setting, but, kind of connect with that same healing power that colors have. All right. Well, we're getting ready to wrap this up. So also because I'm like sweating super a lot and I, anyway,
almost that time.
It's about that time. I'm feeling like watching the temperature go up and down a little bit in here. No, it's been wonderful. It's so relaxing, and I am so excited to come back and also to connect with people who are in that chronic pain. I know a lot of people that are on those. They're trying to avoid pain medications as much as possible, and they're on inflammation medication, and so I'm like, this is a great other option for them to work on those healing aspects as well.
Absolutely.
So for next week, we have teaching your children to be magical beings. That's our topic for next week's episode. So this isn't just for grown-ups. We can do magic with kids too. I do it all every day. And I want to challenge you to use magic in your everyday life to strengthen relationships, heal, prosper, and thrive. Now, can you let us know your socials and your contact and maybe some events that you might have coming up?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can find us at Pure Sweat, PURESWEAT, South Jordan. And we also have at Pure Sweat Park City. You can find us on Facebook, Pure Sweat and Float Studio, South Jordan. And we've started the South Valley Wellness Alliance. So if you are a wellness person of any kind, we're inviting you all to come together to share. And I think that's how you and I really started to have this kind of idea of getting in here and discussing this further. And the studio is in the district, and we're located behind Cafe Rio. We're next to Primary V and Orange Theory. We're open 7 days a week. And you can call or jump on, we have an app now on the app and Android store, Pure Sweat. You'll see our little blue bubble on there. So you can download that and look at promotions and booking things. For the month of April, we're doing sober saunas. So Thursday nights, we're giving away a little free mocktail. And then we'll have some specials and fun things coming up in May, just because it's a big month of celebration. Moms, Memorial Day, teachers. So we always offer 15% off to teachers, first responders, military, and students.
That's a great idea. I hesitate to say because my mom listens to this podcast, but I'm thinking about a Mother's Day gift for her.
We love giving gift cards. It's really fun to see people come experience it for the first time after someone has had the opportunity to experience it themselves and then share with friends and family. It's a really cool, it's very rewarding on our end, but it's really neat to see different people come in and experience something they have not tried in the past.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Super awesome. I love it. Thank you so much for having us.
For being here.
That was Stacey at Pure Sweat and Float. I am back home now after being in the sauna for recording that part of the episode. Maybe you can hear in my voice from the beginning intro and as we were in the sauna together, and then now after, as I get ready to close this episode. I don't know if you can hear it in my voice or if you can see it in me, but I do feel a lot more relaxed. I feel like even just sitting in the heat, I made a joke about it being really hot. Of course, it's a sauna, so it's hot. But I actually really love the heat. You know, I loved living in Phoenix for those years that I lived there. The sun, the desert, the dry heat. I love all of it. I can feel like the benefits in my skin. I probably should have done a better job of wearing sunscreen those years that I lived there when I was staying away from those UV rays. But I can absolutely feel the benefits of being in there in the chromotherapy. And so I want to give a special thanks to Stacey and the staff, Pure Sweat and Float South Jordan. I know that they came from Park City, where they had started a wellness alliance, Park City Wellness Alliance, and now Stacey is heading up the South Valley Wellness Alliance, which I am excited to be a part of and to join. The work that I do, although I often resonates in the more magical, mystical, spiritual sense, I really think that it has a deep-rooted connection in wellness and helping people in their overall wellness. So I'm excited to be a part of that group with her and to join that and maybe do some volunteering there, just to kind of help bring the message of collaboration among people who are in the business of wellness, who are trying to help people to live better, healthier lives. And I just want to really reiterate again that although this is very much more about the physical wellness, such benefits that they offer with their services, everything is connected. And I truly believe that the connection of spiritual to helping the body and helping with embodiment is a part of our healing process overall. whether that's physical ailment that we are healing from, or emotional trauma, or spiritual connection that we are in the process of healing and becoming our more true selves. I think that all of these play a part. So, something like participating in something that can bless the body and give the body a chance to engage in a rest and digest state can connect to your higher power and is practically magic, for lack of a better word for it, right? So, in closing this up, I would like to please ask if anyone has a question for me about any of the things that we've talked about on this episode, or in your personal life, or in your personal magical practice. If there are questions you have about cleansing spaces, writing spells, creating ritual, finding stillness, things that have to do with relationships that you're having situations with, I would like you to write to me. There's a couple of ways that you can do this. You can write into me on my Instagram at prism_healing. I am on Facebook as Courtney Pearl, or my Facebook page, Courtney Pearl's Prism Healing. That is where you can follow me and you can get more information. I'm posting things almost daily, or sometimes several times a day, on a lot of the topics that we discuss here on the podcast. So it's a great idea to follow me on the social medias, and then you can engage with me even more. Sometimes I like to do live videos of card readings or discussion topics on my Instagram. You can also find me on my website, which is prism-healing.com. That's prism, PRISM, as in the prism of colors, the light and the colors of light. Prism. Prism Healing is where I have my website of the services that I offer, and also my blog. And my blog has a post for each episode of the podcast. So anytime there's additional information, resources, anything that you'd like to know more about this episode. And for this episode particularly, I am going to be posting all of Stacey's information, a link to their website, and anything else that might be helpful or useful to find Stacey and Pure Sweat and Float and their information. Okay, so those are some really great action plans for you. Follow me on social media, follow and subscribe to this podcast so that you can continue to get more information about how to use magic in your everyday life. And I would like to give a special thank to Just Blaine, who helped organize this interview today and made it possible for us to interview from the sauna, which was amazing and awesome. And for editing and producing my podcast and Ride the Wave media. And I would like you to feel empowered today, as I do from that wonderful experience in the sauna. Feel empowered to go use magic in your everyday life. Go use magic, witches and wizards.